Welcome to Truth Stream. Today, we are here with a gentleman who goes by the name of Enoch, and we have a very interesting story regarding being married to a reptilian and tracking, etc. And we do have a little bit of a disclaimer. Scott, do you care to go into that a little bit?
Well, it's a fascinating and compelling story that we know our audience is going to enjoy. And no, we don't have any real evidence or any sufficient claims that this is true one way or another, but it is most certainly compelling, and Enoch is an amazing fellow. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Enoch. How are you?
Oh, I shouldn't complain. How about you, gentlemen?
Good.
Not
And
bad.
we do want to let the viewers know that you are choosing to be a bit anonymous, and you may not be able to go into certain topics quite yet because this is your first interview and you are choosing
Yeah.
you want to be safe, so we do want to let them know that. So yeah, let's start with maybe what you started seeing in your marriage, or a little bit about your background, or wherever you feel most comfortable starting.
Well, I would say that my marriage was actually, I love the woman. She was an amazing woman, very hardworking, very dedicated, very oriented at moving forward, diligent, that kind of thing. A quality that I hadn't seen in a lot of the girls that I was dating back in my life, you know what I mean? And she really captured my attention from where I was working at a, we'll just say, a lumber mill of sorts, all right? And soon started dating her, and I was like, man, she's like one of the first girls that really said no to me, if you know what I mean. When you go coming across transgressing that line.
Right.
And she did, yeah, and like 6 months later and stuff, and we just started building a relationship together, and I didn't want to see anybody else. I wanted to be with her, kind of maybe just the way love's supposed to be, right? So I'd say it's real normal. Yeah, and we dated for 2 years, lived together, got involved in a church, had a born again experience in '99, 3 days apart. For the people that understand that in the church, it wasn't. I didn't even go to church. I was raised, we'll just say heathen, really, and got born again on a radio station, Calvary Radio. Matter of fact, I'm not promoting them, but it just happened to be what happened back in '99. That's a long time ago. And we decided I moved out of the house I was in under guidance of my pastor, a different pastor than what may get mentioned later, and lived for like 2-3 months outside the home until we were going to get married, and then I moved back in, and tried to do it right. 2 years later, started having children. Our firstborn was born severely autistic. That would probably be my first start of things that I noticed, because I started bringing up things like vaccinations. I was just hearing, and I early years, bear in mind, please. And no, that's not the way it is. No, that's not what happened. And I mean, anyway, just things like, why are you fighting your mom? Those were things that just didn't make sense. And then I find out, like, the phone and microwave energy is really bad for us. And no, you're crazy. Don't even think about that. Talked about 9/11 with a stranger. Well, not a stranger, she was a friend. She came to stay with us for a few months while she was getting back on her feet. And that was the first time I ever heard about 9/11 being a PSYOP takedown by the Mossad. She said, sorry, my voice is a little cracked.
Sorry.
Completely, she started laughing at the woman. She'd known her for like 3 years. And it was just weird stuff, man, like that. It's like, I believe they are on the inside, know that there's a plan going on. And as this conversation proceeds, maybe I'll be able to determine that or not, for your viewers.
So when you're talking about 911, who did you hear the information from that 911 may have been an inside job? I may have missed that. Sorry.
You know, let's just say her name is Jackie for
Yeah.
instance. I
Yes.
was friends with her kid, and he was a young born again believer, and we just happened to unite at a time period and everything. You know, there is no such thing as coincidence. You know, and like you and I having this conversation too, and we ended up being family friends, and you know, he came over and she loved him, and it was this whole really cool thing. And she needed some help in between while her house sold, and she had to move, and she didn't have a good place. So we let her live there. And out of nowhere, I never heard. I mean, that was like the most intense conspiracy theory thing I'd heard. You know, next to wait, the when the clock turns over at 2000 and everything was going to fall apart.
Right.
You know, and when this lady brought up, I mean, like, no, the cables were, I mean, the girders were cut, and I mean, she knew all this stuff way before me. And now they're brought down, they were dancing in the streets, these Israeli people, like the day before, 2 days before. And my ex just went off on a laughing spree about it. And, you know, I kind of like caught a little bit of it too. And that lady moved out 2 weeks later.
Okay. So that's
So that's the early stuff. And bear in mind, like I said, it wasn't really till I woke up till 2017 till this stuff started really transforming. I did have a long relationship for almost 20 years in a community of these people together, as I found out later.
okay. So in 2017, you kind of start really waking up and starting to look.
Not kind of, I blew up, bro. Something happened. Something happened. Something like the airwaves would change. I don't know. For me,
Right.
it was a tremendous red pilling that I went through.
What was it that you noticed at first about your wife that was different? I mean, what were the red flags? What how did that go?
We started separating more. She really never had a really touchiness about, you know, we had your intimacy, if you want to use that. And then in the first parts, it's fresh. But you could say this with almost any bad marriage or whatever, or transgressed out. But it was like, even when I was going through cancer, it was like, where's the compassion? I'm going through heck here, and it's just not there. And I think there's an energetic feed that they have off of us. I believe I was actually, I hate to say it, but a pet of sorts, but in a Truman Show. You know, if you're like a dog on a 25-mile leash, you think you're pretty free until you get to the end of that leash, right, boys?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and we, you know, the viewers know that they don't know, but I'm sure they're understanding that we've talked before, because you got to talk a little bit before an interview. But and so you have this awakening. You're looking back at past behavior. You know, you're starting to see the world in different ways. You hear about this 911 thing, and so now, and then you're. I remember that you.
Oh, all right. Here, I'll go back. All right. So I used to listen to Calvary Radio, right? I'll just give this Christian radio. And they were talking about how this future thing is going to happen, that it's going to be in aliens, and they're going to be, they're going to say that they're saviors, and that whole one world agenda would come up. All right. And they were going at it. I kept, after I got touched by the Lord, man, it was like Holy Spirit down the top of my crown of my head, over my whole body like oil. And after that, oh man, it just changed, you know, just vibrant. And she was following the whole thing too. You know, I'm out telling people about God and everything all the time, and she wouldn't do that, but she would be all joyful and happy and all of that. Kind of just seems like a front more now. And keep me on track. What was the question again? Where was I going?
Well, I think we were talking about, you know, because you said, you know, as you start looking back
when we came on the alien discussions that this radio broadcast was doing all the time, one day she says, I'm turning it off because I don't want to hear anything about aliens anymore. And the whole thing changed like that.
Okay.
So
All right. So,
That
'cause-
was that was another memory. You know, none of this is rehearsed, people. So this is just live. So
yeah, and a lot of this, while we talk to Enoch, you know, some of these memories are coming up, and so there wasn't a lot of compassion in her touch, and then there's something that there was an event that happened, um, and if I recall correctly, it was when Donald J. Trump was elected, right? That was a big trigger.
oh my gosh, of course, of course. Yep.
And maybe go
Well,
into a little bit about that.
he voted Republican and conservative the whole way. And actually, I worked kind of with the Republican conservative movement in the town I lived in, and got involved, and we were all into it. You know, I mean, you know, and we lost on the McCain thing and all that, of course. But when it came to Trump and the motto, the plan, all of this stuff,
The executive orders.
second executive orders, who knows? Because this whole world turned upside down, and so did they. You know, and that was like a big red pill, bro.
Right.
I mean, this guy's trying to save our world here. What's wrong with that? And then, like I said, if you live in a community that's, I believe they're in a caste system, that there was the draconians at the top, or, you know, I mean, as we've learned, as our audience has learned, and there's several types of them. And I think the ones that I was involved in, married and involved in, was the lower working class type. That helps.
And when you say the community, is what defines that? Is it a few blocks? Is it a small town? What defined your community at the time?
I believe that this goes back well into the Masonic order. I'm going to freely say that they put their stuff out there, so it is what it is. And I've known quite a few of them in this community. But I think most of this whole thing is a Truman Show. They've established homes and properties through their connections and all of this stuff and business dealings, and have areas set up for whatever they need, honestly. And you find yourself in a closer community, then there might be 20 families that live in a 6-block radius of you. How about
And
that?
when you say they in these families, you're referring to either draconian or reptilian type of.
Yeah, at least one family member that is, you know, probably, you know, husband or wife.
Wow, but
detected more females than males in most of my cases, to be honest.
But did you felt like the entire community you were in, that they were all reptilian, or
No,
just
no, not at all, not at all.
okay? But
being in a community, I would say I was 10%, and then I would say worldwide, depending on what their climate likings, you know what I'm saying? Depending on what their liking is then 1% of our population. And maybe another 1%, 2% that doesn't know that they have it in them. I'm guessing on some of these areas too.
Right. Well, and we can kind of, you know, we have this kind of laid out in a way we're going to talk about things, but I think this topic will help bring this together. Part of this is that you felt, or you know, or interpreted that you were possibly targeted as part of a breeding, interbreeding with your bloodline and their reptilian bloodline. If you care to go into some of the components of that.
Yeah, the breeding program.
Yeah.
Got to ask the questions, don't you? That's a good one. Thank you for remembering that. This is our third take, isn't it, gentlemen?
Well, we're trying to get it right. You know, this is his first time
right.
sharing this story, and it's not easy subject matter. So we're
it's not.
trying to share this the right way for the viewers and for you, and we want you to use this as a tool for whatever you want to use it for. So
I'm here to heal. I'm here to make this planet better. So let's yeah. So Scott, right? You and I have something in common, right? Could you mention that to the audience?
Refresh my memory. What we have a lot of things in common.
We're both sons of the revolution. We're both sons of the revolution.
Absolutely. Yes.
There we
go.
I know you got a lot in your head. I know. So what does that mean to you?
Well, I feel very connected to the whole impetus for starting this country, and the whole idea of freedom, and not living under tyranny, and that the blood that courses through my veins is the same blood that was on the front lines to make that happen. That's a source of pride.
Exactly. That's what I was hoping you'd say. So we're the 3 to 9%, depending on what it was, right?
Right.
Okay. So now, where do we trace this race back to? At a couple levels, back to Brits, don't we? In some levels, in areas like that, possibly, huh?
Where they're most well established. Yeah. I mean, the Windsor family was actually, hails from Germany. The whole thing is a bit of a facade. So if we're talking about the Windsor family being reptilian, which I think is kind of widely accepted in our circles. Yeah. But yeah.
So
yeah.
there it is. Okay, we've been fighting this thing, I think, and maybe some of our higher bloodline. I'm not know about this. It's like it's in our DNA. I don't know, and I think sometimes they want to cap. In my case, in this breeding program, if they can, and if you've got maybe one that's, you've got a certain window of time, and you want to do it in by 2017, because that's when the Freemason time clock was up, that this thing was supposed to be implemented. That you'd want to have all your ducks in a row, and they're very, very much more intelligent and organized than us. So with everything happened, if you put a cap on a bloodline that fought in the war, then you've ascertained your dominance over them. They're a predatory breed. That makes sense?
Yeah. Right. Well, they also know what they're doing, and they prey upon our empathy and thinking, most people are good people. And so if they know that about us and they're doing their thing, it really fucks with us, frankly. So please go ahead.
And then think about this: they were also connected with the JW, or Jehovah's Witness, and Mormonism. All right, and this is all connected. Now, what the Mormons are very famous for is following blood lineage, right?
Very much, yes.
Very much. So just put that on a pin on a wall. I don't know if we'll bring it up later, but there's that involvement that I discovered through all this. All right.
Yeah, they have more genealogical data than any other group, I think.
Exactly. And so, right. So I imagine once they capture that, I had probably honestly the opportunity to actually join them, and I declined to do that. That's something I didn't bring up before.
How was that?
I was invited to a dinner, and this memory didn't come back really honestly till 2017. I think they can capture memories and things like that. They have something over a spell or something over a room or an energy that they know. But I was invited to a meal at a prominent member in our community for dinner, and I can't really recognize a lot of the people that were there except him and his wife and my wife. And I was presented with a meat pocket, like a Stouffer, like a hot pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to bring levity to this, please.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And you have to understand that this has to be a free will thing. And right when I was handed it to me and I picked it up and I went to take a bite of it, right when I bit into it, she said, in my mind, I was immediately told, clear as a bell, this is human meat.
Oh.
Okay. So there's one of your freaking big reveals that you guys want to hear about this. All right. All right. And then I think that you would have to, it was probably a ritual of sorts. And I took a bite. Seriously. Okay.
Yeah.
And the whole got down and we went home in 15 minutes to half an hour or less. Went in, the whole room changed. I mean, the whole energy vibe changed. Yeah.
And you felt
So
like everyone in that
I'm
room
honored
was,
that you offered, but it wasn't something I want to do. So,
yeah,
and
but
then to flash forward further on, that one of my handler friends that I was skiing with for 11 years worked actually as a ski instructor. There's a little clue to my life. For 10, 11 years, after I discovered this in 2017, he invited me to go over to a house, and I would have met with a bunch of elders, I think, and probably been explained it. But I was fucking scared, to be honest. To be freaking completely honest, I didn't know if they'd rip me from limb to limb and eat me. I don't know. You know, there was a certain fear that was definitely persuaded. They're very predatory. You know, they have that extra way there. So
Well, and tell the viewers how you were targeted from your wife, that she picked you because of your bloodline, and that your children are part reptilian. You give the viewers
I would believe that my son is probably the strongest of the blood lineage. That he's got the most. He has telekinetic powers. When the divorce happened, she got a lot of coaching, to say the least. And through a few of the things that happened to me, I wasn't able to really keep it together at that time period. And oh my God, this your whole world opens up for a second here, boys. I'm sorry. My daughter doesn't have it as much. If she has, she's like me more. My son's got telekinetic powers that I picked up on when all this. He worked with me for a while, and then my targeting started happening because I was picking out all of this. I'm serious, I had this great, amazing, crazy awakening to this whole thing, and all of a sudden I could see all of this stuff. It was like something just happened to me, and I started seeing people, and I don't know. Like I said before, you sound crazy when you try to say it.
I'm sure.
Can we change the subject? Can we move to another? We can stay on the reptilian thing, but you got another question?
Well, yeah. So, when you were at the party with the hot pockets and whatnot, the gathering, you got the impression that they were all different, that they were all reptilian, or was it later?
No, I didn't know at that time. I didn't know at that time. I'm wondering why the hell my wife's freaking voice went off in my gosh darn head.
I
didn't even know that. All right, that's where you asked what my clues were.
Yeah.
All
okay,
right?
so it was just
we
that.
haven't talked about connections with friends and things like that. You know what I mean?
Did you ever ask her about it? Did it ever come up?
Big family, bro. It's a big family, bro.
Yeah. Did that ever come up? Did you ever ask her about it, like after the party or anything?
later?
I had it taken from my brain for over 5 years, I think, dude, or more. We talked about it when we got home a little bit. I'm like, that was really weird. What was that all about? Oh, Dan. I almost said the name. He doesn't like vegetables. I'm sure it didn't taste that good either, did it? Something like that. And it just got dismissed. And if they have these telekinetic powers, and they're involved in these certain societies, they know a little bit more on how to control things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Than John Appleseed like me walking in. Do. Seriously. Dude, I was like Truman, dude. I mean, I was just I love Jesus, and I don't care who love him, and I was on fire talking to people about him all the time, and this fellowship didn't do it, and things just started progressively getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And they're a really popular place. They're a big place where I came from. They had very popular music artists like Jeremy Camp and Casting Crowns. Matter of fact, I met these people, and oh my God, Sanctus Real, when I actually took him up on a private ski trip and stuff. They had this whole thing dialed. We built the freaking college. We built the auditorium for free, pretty much. All of us.
Sorry, are you saying that these artists are also reptilians?
No. I'm saying that this is how much control that they can have, is that they can manipulate and bring people in that are perfectly like myself, oblivious to it. We're just doing a music gig. It's a big theater, bro. It's just really theater at so many levels.
Okay.
You know, and if you've got a mask on and you're presenting something else, what do you think it is?
Right.
It's theater, and they've been pulling the strings for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you that, you know, as far as finding out that this stuff was going on in the world, I had no idea. I remember, you know, I'll never forget, and I've brought this up on a few shows, when Scott said, hey, the world that you think you're living in and the world you're living in are two different things. And at that time, I didn't understand the level at what he was referring to. But with you, when it's not only that, but then you're actually experiencing. Now, I could have possibly been around these type of beings in my life and not known about it. I wasn't aware of it. But you're looking at this going, wow, so I married a reptilian. That's a lot. So what are some other moments in the either the marriage or after that are these aha moments?
She stayed really aloof from it. All right, she stayed really aloof. She kept up. Everyone's got their part to play. Okay, it's theater. All right.
Right.
She had her wife's position to play, and as a breeder, and having kids. All right, they're dedicated to their race. Because if we really saw them, we would probably be horrified at some level or another. You know what I mean? Or
yes, I do know what you mean.
Built into our DNA to be scared of snakes. You know, and they're reptilian. You know, and imagine now they're walking around, even though the Bible told us already that they're here. You know, with Adam and Eve and all that.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it's just anyway. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Say it again, please.
Oh, I'm just trying to help the audience, you know, understand even more so some of those aha moments where you're.
Okay.
I remember,
Okay. So,
you know, you weren't allowed.
My friend. So I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay on these thoughts.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember one moment, or one significant was, you know, you weren't allowed in the room when I believe your first child was born. Just those things that stand out. So if you could kind of let the viewers know some of those other moments too.
So there's, all right. So if okay, imagine being in this community. All right, and you have to logistically think that these people have different possible body parts. Maybe their organs are in different positions and stuff like that. So there has to be an infrastructure already set up. Okay, with doctors, I'm assuming, you know, and I can't implement it. This is by my own supposition and understanding and downloading and being alone for a couple hours or 3 hours or a day and trying to, you know, seek this out, because it's not like I got a roadmap, you know what I mean? So before my child was born, my ex was toxemia, and they made this huge thing, like she's the worst that we've ever seen and all that, right? But she only got sick like 2 times. She vomited. You could drink, what's that thing you drink and makes you throw up? Epicat, you know? And It wasn't like the doctor made it sound to be, right? And this is our first kid, and let's rush on down to the hospital. It's time. We're going through they they give you the medicine to induce labor. That's what I'm looking for. I forget the name of the medicine, but that's not working. Well, we've got to perform an emergency C-section. You know, she's only 2 hours into this thing. Bear in mind, I'm a young man then. You know, 30 years old. This is my first the second real, was married before, but where I'm really involved more. You know, I'm really trying to be the caring dad intensely and everything. and they wouldn't let me in the room. No, you'll be in the way. You just go sit outside. And I didn't have a sitting. I had to sit on the floor. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour tops, basically had a baby. They had to deliver the placenta. The way the whole thing was portrayed, it could be very plausible. They put her in ICU. She came right out of it within 24 hours. I don't know. I'm going back and trying to piece my freaking weird ass life together, dude.
Yeah.
Telling people this stuff, and I don't even care if anybody fucking believes me. I really don't. I'm just trying to move on. There's something really going on. I love everyone in this audience and people, and it's real. And so anyway, they brought the baby out to me, put him in my arms, and I fell in love with him. Beautiful little boy. Beautiful little baby boy. There's nothing weird, different. Weird, I don't mean to say it like that. There's nothing different about him. I didn't open up his swaddling clothes and check everything out, For all I know, they could have taken a little tiny tail off his butt, you know what I mean? Because he did have a kind of a weird scar later on in life. But, yeah. And then you also have to remember, too, if this is probably a true, if they could do it, I think they're bred in eggs, too. So they would want to cover that.
Say that again?
Vipers, they're one of the snakes that have a live birth. But the snake's in an egg sac when it's born at the time, out of the mother. It breaks and then she releases the egg sac later.
Right.
Wow.
So there's these weird things that I've picked up along the way, If I'm not allowed in the room, I can't even justify what I'm saying. I mean, my ex could hear this and forget what the fuck
Well, you fully anticipated being in the room, right? And that just came up out of the blue.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that is a little bit odd.
How did they explain that to you? Did they say, if we're having complications, you gotta go? What's that?
It's like she could die because if any organs rupture, her platelet level would have been so far down that she wouldn't have been able to clot, and that she would die. So they just all you gotta do is throw that card out to you while you're having a baby. Oh, I'll get out of your way. Sure. You don't even second guess it, dude. You're just like, this isn't your element,
Well, I imagine interspecies births are a little complicated, maybe. I don't know.
Now in my second, dude, I was right there. They put those screen up over, her face. We had to have a cesarean, the second one. I'm totally engaged. I'm like looking down at her. I'm like, when they put the steel clamps in to pull the uterus apart to extract the child, I'm like, you don't feel that? She's like, no, what? You kind of get a little nauseous, but that's about it. So everything held her too. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful children. I've got beautiful children.
That's
Smart.
one.
Yeah. So I'm not angry. I'm trying to be very forgiving and raise my frequency to the highest I can.
Sure.
And I know forgiveness is huge in this, but when you say but you erase everything, you gotta forgive. If they want to be a hateful entity and creature or whatever thing to me after this, that's on them. All I'm doing is telling the honest God truth that's happened to me. And we haven't even got into real more than nitty-gritty yet,
Well, and we are welcome to go there, however deep you want to go. Please, let's dive right into that.
I don't sound too crazy, do I?
No, I mean the more people like you talk about this stuff, the more that it helps others do the same and realize the world that we're actually living in. So
now let me ask you a question. Have you seen the guy that's playing the role of president of the United States right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that seem crazy? Because it sure as shit seems crazy to me. Maybe a little more crazy than
that's
this
the theater that we're a part of. That's the theater we're part of. That's what I tell all these people too that I red pill. I'm like, just chill out. I mean, we're gonna go through some hairy times, you know. Get out of
Yeah.
your weird ass city. But
Harry,
you know, I live up in the hills. I live up in the hills.
hills are good, definitely.
They got to get through a lot of deer hunters that are 14 years old on a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, now that we've established that
I think we have to.
anything that you are going to tell us is no more crazy than the state of this country and who's running it.
Not at all.
Please feel free to say whatever.
Yeah, I think
That's where
everything's
I'm also coming out. This is the year of the whistleblower. It's like I'd held this in for 5. Well, I mean, I was developing the first couple of years as I was with targeting and all that stuff. We haven't even got into the gangstalking and all of that came out of this.
Yeah. Now, when did that start? I mean, when did things start to go awry? I mean, you know, you're married, you have 2 kids. Obviously,
2017 and months before that, but
yeah,
until this point, I think they knew that we were going to wake up too. By the way,
I imagine. Yeah. Well, what gave you that impression?
because like when 2012 ran around, all of a sudden I'm getting all these. And she was kind of more of a, you know, they tell us in the movies, right? Of what's potentially gonna happen. It's called predictive programming, right? To where you get it into the consciousness of us, and then we create it through our own energy in all probability. And all of a sudden now I'm going into all these movies of 2012, the deep freeze one, where the planet got hit with a major ice age, all this stuff when we used to just like watch Star Wars and things like that more. And a lot of fear started coming. And I also remember our relationship always seemed to be traumatic at some level. You know, once in a while we'd take a walk in the park with the dogs and the kids and stuff like that, but there was always not enough money when we should have had it. And got to go over and do this at somebody's house. It always seemed like there was a trigger every day. Now this is difficult.
So when you say not enough money, was she in control of the money and kind of maybe keeping money from you to keep your energy down, to keep the loosh, that type of thing?
Mm-hmm. Very good observation. So did I tell you? I told you, gentlemen, I'm a cancer survivor, haven't I?
Yes, you have.
Yes.
I'm on my 4th round, right? Okay. So I first got this shortly after marrying her, and our kid was born. Within about a year afterwards, I developed multiple myeloma, very aggressively, and don't understand why I got it.
Do you feel that could have been from her, or
I
from?
think it was given to me. If she was friends with high-level Masons and other people, you know, and if I'm walking the light, you know, I may have my little issues here and there, you know, but I'm walking the light. And in this theater, I'm my actor person. I'm not acting, but I'm being who I am in their theater, and it's not fitting up to what the part that I think they wanted me to, you know, either come over or die. And if it's a breeding problem, think about this: how easy would it be to have your child, maybe 2, and then you can tell, well, your dad, you know, he died of cancer, and it's all wrapped up nice in a bow.
Right. That was exactly my point.
You said, you know, she had relationships with high-level Masons. Was that the case since you had met her, or was that something that entered into the picture later in the relationship?
After I figured out who she was hanging around with, yeah, it was, and some other friends too.
Yeah. I mean, were these people that you also associated with, or were they kind of in the shadows?
Well, I'm sorry, I talked too much. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. I just wondered if they were people that you also associated with, you know, socially with her, or if they were kind of in the shadows.
Nope, considered several of them friends, but I didn't know what they were.
Okay.
Part of the Truman Show. It's not like they go around wearing it on a badge. Maybe you can see it, I mean, even one of my doctors was potentially one, especially the way he used to shake my hand and that.
Well, wait, go into that. How was that different? Yeah, let's talk about some of these signs or quirks or whatever. How did he shake your hand that was kind of
How
weird?
about the handshake? How about the Freemasonic handshake?
Right.
Oh,
The first one, all right.
Yeah, that one.
So I'm
yeah,
getting
but
I'm getting this handshake from day one from this guy,
oh,
right?
Huh.
Day one. I mean, I'm battling this from '05, and I'm like, what kind of man shakes a hand like that? I didn't know. Who shakes a hand like that? I mean, what are you gonna, you got joked by your grandpa or your dad, and they move that little finger in your palm. Don't shake a man's hand like that. You know what I mean? Remember that old joke? You know, and I'm like, that's what I thought. You know, I mean, I'm like, who does that? You know, you got a high five, you got a, the biker brother handshake, and then you got the man handshake, right?
well, that's how humans do it. Yeah, but wow.
And then crazy is he made sure, and for several years I had the highest doses of medicine I could have.
Oh, wow. Yeah, usually
not
don't you
a-
want to kind of start and then
didn't think I should pursue nutrition or any other types of treatment that I needed to be, and I bought all of it. And I'm like, well, you guys are the professionals. I'm serious. I was just look back at like, wow, I've grown so much, but what an idiot I
that
was.
ties into the modern day. I mean, I know I'm trying to keep this friendly for if we decide to put this on something. But yeah, there's people who have to get the for their kids even while they're pregnant. I know someone that before she gave birth, she had to get the jab, if you will. And it's like, wait a second. So yeah, kind of in line with that, because she trusts, most people do trust their doctors.
That's what we've been told to do, right?
Yeah. So when did you start to notice, hey, something's not right here? And I mean, obviously there were a lot of little things, but
I told you that.
right. But when did it really sink in that you were in a compromised position?
All right. When right in that 2017, early 2018 frame,
Uh-huh.
I went on I told you about me going on a 3-day no food, no water fast, right?
Right. Yeah, I had done that fast myself. It's intense.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of brutal, huh?
Oh boy.
It was part of the awakening thing for me. I mean, honestly was. It was
Yeah.
probably the next capstone to it, right? I hate to use that term, but it fits. So I went into that, and that was when I got. If anyone out in this audience, please understands visions, you'll understand it. I got the faces of so many people in front of me that transformed, whether it's true or not, or they're, and their finished product later on. One of them specifically a leader in a community group, if you know what I mean, a church that I knew that was very specific. And after that, I knew it was downloaded from source, angelic, extraterrestrial. I don't care. I didn't know at that time. I just considered it like an angel or God, right? And I started acting on these things and bringing these things up, and I'm like, and then like YouTube algorithms will change on your phone. I started looking into the reptilian thing. It like just started opening up on my phone densely more and more. And I started looking into it, and I started sharing, because you can share all this stuff, And I'm like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And and I was intently sharing it with the people that I knew, or at least I thought I knew, were that way, and my suppositions ended up being right. And not everyone's. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of people that know that they're married to reptilians or dating too. Wait, Joe. What's the name of the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins?
Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
Now, didn't he have an experience? Do you remember hearing about that?
Yeah, and I think he told it on. Did he tell it on Joe Rogan's show? He told it on a show, I think.
I don't know if I know about that.
Yeah, he saw someone shapeshift or turn into reptilian right in front of him. Yeah.
Well, he talked to him too for a while. It wasn't really such a bad experience, but yeah.
I mean, that I haven't heard it in a while, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty.
And that was what, 10 years ago or more?
I don't remember the exact time, but I think within the last 5 to 10 years, probably.
Yeah. So, honestly, I would imagine they'd probably like to come out. But who knows how dark and sinister this is, at what level, and where do we go from here? Because part of my experience wasn't good, and then other experiences with some of them have been kind of positive.
Positive how?
Positive in like working with a couple of them. One in particular that I kind of consider a friend still. I know he's part of the COINTEL thing because they got to protect the race. But I had a great time. We tripped all over. This is a different place. We tripped all over Dallas, Texas, and drank some beers and saw some cool stuff and talked to a whole bunch of people, and just generally the people together. I mean. What do you do when you're born like this, man? Think of that. Put that in your perspective and your peace pipe and smoke that, audience. Well, how do you deal with it if you're born this way? You got to grow up into it.
Well, you mentioned that they were that you got the feeling that they were more scared of us than we are of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What gave you that impression? And yeah, how did you pick up on that?
It's pretty simple. If they want. They're only 1%.
Well, I'm gonna read this for the audience real quick because I did find this just so they can look this up. This is from August 31st, 2018. Billy Corgan doubles down on claim shape-shifting reptilians run the world. Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan has doubled down on his claims that the music industry, Illuminati, is controlled by non-human reptilians, telling Howard Stern, so my apologies, it was not Joe Rogan, Howard Stern, that he personally witnessed a reptilian in shape-shifting form twice. Not a typical story, but I mean, it's very interesting because obviously Billy Corgan's been a big part of the music industry. Sorry, I want to try and make sure we're not talking over each other because it get very frustrating for everybody involved. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure when we're talking, we're not talking over each other.
It's just the fact that there is a bleed off of all of this empirical stuff that's came down, and there's a bunch of people that are, I think, they're on the earth that are reptilian. And I happen to be a part of the community. And I hope that the good moderates will come out of this and we can all get along, and it's my old, like I said, I got a couple kids I haven't seen in a long time, and we didn't leave on good circumstances, especially because of this.
Right.
And they're scared of us because they look different. And if they're only 1% of the population, and and if they're in a caste system and they weren't able to pull this whole world domination takeover, like we know it's pretty much over. I mean, they're not going to, you know what I mean?
Well, you brought up a really good point earlier that maybe, we don't know how this whole shift to 5D is going to go. We don't know, with a lot of these people who have taken a certain substance that sounds like adreno, and then the next word is chrome.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some of these that aren't as involved in that. And you brought up something that maybe some of these people, or reptilians, if you will, when the timing's right, or they could do an interview like this where they're not, well, I guess you're kind of a picture here, but where they're not showing their faces. Maybe they want to talk about this. And I know that they are scared, if you will, but in a way they should be, because they've been doing what they have. I mean, when you find out, and then you have, I have a mother, and you're trying to talk to her about everything you're learning, and it's kind of a challenge to let her know about who the Pope is, and that the world is run by a cabal of satanic pedophiles. That's a challenging topic. It sounds fucking crazy. It sounds insane, but the more you look into it, the more it actually makes sense as to why the world is as screwed up as it is. And so, that being said, and I know this might be hard for some people hearing it for the first time. It'd be nice if our show is not necessarily just an echo chamber, because we're trying to reach people outside of that. But yeah, I mean, maybe we can interview some of them at some point, but
we should. And yeah, it's kind of an open invitation, I think, in that regard.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be fascinating. And I mean, hell, if we're going to live among each other, it's probably a necessity, but
yeah, please go ahead.
It's funny, and I've made this joke for years about the satanic pedophiles ruling the world. It sounds absolutely insane, except it's starting to become kind of an accepted thing. I mean, not just among our community, but it's kind of, I mean, people laugh it off a little bit, but
there's satanic churches now.
It's a big part of the vernacular now. I mean, it's part of the narrative. Yeah.
It changed pretty quickly too, if you ask me. We did a really good job.
Yeah.
All of us that are even listening to this really should pat yourselves on the back for surviving one of the biggest the biggest psyop. You're here. I mean, I'm very thankful that I get to go through this amazing experience. And I'm not suicidal, by the way. Yeah.
Nor are we, just for the record.
Yeah, I know. I just want to start. I want an amazing world for this place. I want this Dasara or whatever it's going to happen. I throw a lot of energy into that. And I mean, that'll change everything. All these foreigners have to go back to their country to get the money. That seems like a great way to deal with the immigrant status.
Well, in the last few years, I mean, there's been a lot of ground. You watch Fox News now, and I made the comment earlier today that just what I've heard from Tucker Carlson lately. If you would have shown me those segments 20 years ago, I would have thought, I want to see this movie. This is wild. Like, this is nuts.
Right.
But it's clearly fiction. Right. And it's not fiction. I mean, we're living this. We are living this. And and I brought up the Jim Brewer piece before, where he's like, the military comes out and says we're shooting down UFOs, and everybody's kind of like, nah, and the conspiracy theorists are like, they're not real. They're not real. I mean, living right now is just, it's the most exciting time to be a human. I think it's got to be. I mean, I imagine the Mayans.
They should have done Project Bluebeam 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't think it even work. I don't think it's going to work.
Well, we had the whole thing. If you subscribe to the Looking Glass story,
yes,
and the idea that prior to 2012, they used to be able to go in and adjust the timeline or shift the timeline. I've recently learned about retrocausality with regard to physics, and this would be like a much larger scale version of that, but to step back in the timeline and adjust a couple of things so that you change the outcome. And I guess that's how things have gone for centuries, for a very, very long time. And now, something happened in 2012 where that was no longer accessible. The outcome was fixed. And I think that's why we're experiencing all this weird, I mean, pick a topic. It's so bizarre. I mean, we just had the unfortunate shooting, but as a result, there's what's the preferred term? Transsexuals, I guess, or transgender people, exactly. Assembling an army, taking up arms, kind of a thing. I mean, this is all stuff you'd expect to read in a science fiction novel. And it happens to be the 5 o'clock news. I mean, this is this is it.
Dude, I
So
want to see Mark on Washington. I'd love that. Wouldn't that be great footage? I mean, come on, what are they gonna do?
yeah.
When many are saying that,
Really,
how much of a false
more
flag?
people die in gang violence than shootings. You know what I mean? These false flags. I'll use that term.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the breakdowns on this, and in fact, Lewis Herms gave one, and
Oh, just the numerology alone is
yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
and this is a complete false flag.
It sure
And,
appears
Yeah,
to.
and that doesn't mean that people may have gotten killed,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, the deaths
sure.
are yeah.
that's not the point. But
And we don't have $1 billion, so don't even try.
right, yeah,
It's a part of the theater that they.
The Alex
It's
Jones
part
thing.
of the theater.
Yeah.
Part of the. All right, you want to talk about the gang? How much time we got? We'll be done.
well, that's a great question. We're right around about 55 minutes. So if we want to talk about a subject that is for about 5 minutes, and then dial this in, and then we could either have you back again later or after, and then do part 2. But where are you feeling? Do you want to?
We'll talk offline. Or we'll talk together afterwards. We'll talk about it. So,
Okay.
5 minutes.
I mean, not exactly, but just
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I watch you guys all the time.
This is
You guys are great. You guys give us, all of us that are trying to get this out. You give us all the time we need. You really do. Thank you.
yeah, and this, I got to say that this has went, since we've talked before, this went a bit more smoothly, if you will. I think this has been a pretty compelling
it's hard to put this stuff to a timeline for sure. It
Right.
really is,
Right.
But you mentioned the gang stalking. So when did you first notice that this was going on, and how bad did it get? I mean, tell us the story.
5 levels of gang stalking. Level 1, you are, in a sense, taking data on your daily life of where you go, making notes on you, observing you, but it's not really the engagement where that you're being followed. You might see something that stands out weird, but other than that, so. Level 2 is that's when they start making their presence known. They try to actually get your attention. Okay. And then it's small, like, you're like, what the heck? What the heck did I do? Now you're getting this fear base built on. If you are unfortunate like I was, and we can't go down this rabbit trail, it's another one. I'm just going to stay on the targeting. But if you got drugged or something along the way, now you have to fight that too. And you're being psychologically screwed with. All right. Level 3, they are aggressively gang stalking you. You're being followed. People will be standing on street corners. They've got probably a chat site on Facebook or something like that, and they're very organized. Like, I can't say it enough. And you'll find that, especially if you're in a community, of it, you're going to find every corner is marked by these people almost. And I had a landscape business, and I was a business owner for over 10 years too. So I had to drive around, truck and trailer and all that stuff. So they'll try to get you into car accidents, stare at you, flip you off, curse at you. I mean, I was all around the town, never had a problem. And all of a sudden, after I discover all this stuff and I'm acting out on it after that fast I did, it just got weirder and weirder. Level 4, they're really trying to get you to commit suicide. They've kicked it up. They're working on your phone. They're changing and manipulating your phone. You're getting phone calls for, death threats, level things like that. Sorry, I'm drifting. Level 5 is when get voice to skull technology on you, potentially kidnap. You have nanotechnology put into you. You have RFID chips placed in you potentially. They've got many ways of delivering. You could be like, I was skiing on the hill and going down a little bunny hill back to the lodge, and out of nowhere someone hit me really, really hard, and I felt this piercing in my legs. This is one of those first major gang stalking level 5s.
Wow.
And knocked the wind out of me, and was I turned over on my stomach and my face, knocked my ski off and everything. I got hit. I got hockey checked, out of nowhere. And I'm going, are you okay? Are you okay? I thought we just had a normal collision, right? She says, I think it was a she, honestly. She says, no, I do this all the time. Skied off and left me there.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I got down to the lodge and then got my gear off and stuff, like an hour or so later. It wasn't the end of the day. I still managed to kind of keep my shit together. Excuse me. And went down there, and there was a red mark on my right thigh, and there was like a sliver, tiny sliver. I'm thinking, could it be part of the carbon fiber poles? Because that's some of the stuff we use. But you get this intuition because I'm in the midst of the beginning of the stalking. That's a freaking RFID chip.
Wow.
And like I had mentioned I just flipped it on the floor. And you know what? You think you should keep this stuff and then, carry it for 5 years. And then what do you do with it, right? Now, who do I mail it to? Who do I get in touch with? All this stuff I thought about. And then I ended up telling my handler friend about it. Well, what'd you do with it? And I said, I flipped it on the floor. And they're like, well, that's a good thing. You don't need to be holding on to that. If I would, either I would have thought I was a nut, or I would have been really intrigued. Well, what do you mean you got hit on the hill? Yeah. He just kind of laughed it off, played it. It was theater, bro. So much theater.
Wow.
And now, was this friend? Do you feel that this friend was a friend or a reptilian friend?
He's a reptilian friend.
Ah.
He's a handler.
Okay.
So
I didn't want to marry into it. Then they probably want to have handlers around you, don't you think?
Yeah. So you felt like he was assigned to you?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely, without a hesitation in my brain. Couple of them, actually.
Did you meet him through your wife?
No, I meant through circumstance up on the hill in the first year or two after I got the job.
So yeah, it would be easy for them to go, oh, okay, Enoch is ski instructor, go ahead. I mean, looking back, do you feel like you had, while you were with your wife, that you really had many good friends?
I got a couple. I got one that's still alive, and we're in touch. And I almost invited him to this Zoom call to affirm my targeting. He's been there since I told him about gang stalking and sending him videos, and I'm acting like a nut job going through all this stuff, and he's just stuck with me. Yeah, he's solid man. So I would say, yeah, I'm lucky. I got one true friend that out of all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what brought the marriage to an end?
Well, I've only slept with 2 women in 20 plus years. And after she relegated me to the couch, that was in between. And after of 14 years of marriage, and I moved. We separated. I got a place. I rent. I got a place and I had a fling. I didn't have an affair. I had one fling with a woman, and I bared that lie, secret, whatever, because I wanted to get back with her. I didn't want that. Told her like 4 years afterwards what I had done one night after I was given a truth serum drug. That's another crazy thing too. And I couldn't. It was like after I got this given to me, I couldn't not lie. And it gets so weird, dude. This is where it's gonna get. So I told her what had happened. I said I was sorry. I didn't want to do it, and that was like the excuse she needed to close the chapter. And she did her part as a dutiful wife, and that was it. Even though we.
So can you tell,
marriage counseling?
Let's hear a little bit more maybe about the truth serum.
All right. Being a cancer patient, and having 9 multiple fractures in my back and having vertebral kyphoplasty up at OHSU, I repaired my back, but I still was dependent on pain medicine. And part of the reason I went on that huge fast is this is where it might discontinue my message if anyone wants to do it. I don't care. You don't have to believe me. I wanted to quit all this stuff. I wanted to get back in. I wanted to try to save my marriage. I saw this whole world was changing, and I was still believing it. And I told that handler friend of mine that God, after that was part of the visions and everything. I was delivered from like 6 years of intense morphine addiction. All right. I mean, within like two days after that, he came over. He's, oh, really? Wow. And talking to me and everything. And he pulled out of his pocket within 15, 20 minutes, 1 Percocet. Everyone knows what those are, right?
Yeah.
All right. A little white 5 milligram tablet with 327 milligrams or 325 milligrams of acetaminophen. He goes, well, hey, if you're going through any withdrawals, man, here, this is for you. Now, he seeded my mind. I didn't want any of this. And once he took off, and he ended up coming back later. My wife, and that's another thing. My wife was mysteriously staying over at her mom's house that night for whatever reason. After I took that, I just sat on the counter for like 4 or 5 hours. Now, you look at it and you're just, I'm an ex-drug addict, I've been, and stuff like that. I started using cannabis at a very young age and things like that. And it just played on my mind. I'm like, maybe it will make me feel better. I took it, and I got this huge emotional. I started crying and going, oh, it just got so bad. It was that was one of my druggings. It wasn't from that little 5 milligram of Percocet. I promise you, it was a completely different. Like they could put a drop of something on it. You don't know. You don't. And from that point forward, I just started spilling my guts to her about this stuff when she came home. Like a half a day later.
Oh, so this lasted a while.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah. It lasted quite a while.
Wow.
It lasted like 3 days.
Wow.
Okay, I've never heard of that. I mean, my brother, to add some levity to this, my brother was over in Europe and was roofied and was put on a train, and these women got his credit card information and or debit card, and they pulled money out one day, and then they waited till it went to midnight and then took money out the next day, and he lost. But that's one example. But that's I think that was roofie specifically. This is beyond. I mean, this is for a few days.
Yeah.
Never even heard.
And I wouldn't say I was a mental zombie, but I was definitely altered. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
And he came back over later, dude, and I'm like bawling my head off with him, and he's receiving all this is what pisses me off. Now, you did this to me, and you're receiving this fucking shit from me while I'm going through all this, trying to play like it's all theater, man. Play up like you're some great dude when you caused this. I'm there for you, brother. You know.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's why, you know, when we hear that they're scared of us, you know, I mean, they've been messing with our minds and our world and our food and our water and for I don't even know how long. And it's infuriating. I mean, we've had our reality hijacked from us, and it's pretty fucked up. And so here we are in this whole Plato's cave type experiment where we're trying to tell our friends and family about what's going on, and they think we're the ones that are nuts. And it's infuriating. And it's yeah, I don't know. There's so many words for it, but I just wanted to get that out.
Yeah, it makes me wonder about Bill Cosby. Well, he got Cosby.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was 3 days, but yeah, you got Cosby. Your friend wasn't Bill Cosby. Was it?
No, God.
No, I mean, yeah, I got to inject a little bit of humor into these things. I mean, not that was entirely
after
funny.
he brought up Quaaludes, that you never heard him on the market anymore. They took him off the market after Bill Cosby.
Oh, were those Quaaludes?
Yeah, that's what he drugged his victims with.
Wow, I thought it was Rohypnol, but
Well,
you might have been right, but yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I was just going to say, I think this is a great place to come to conclusion for part one. We'll pause this and talk afterwards, and I think we'd love to have you back to go more into this and see what the audience thinks. Get some reaction. Maybe they can put some questions down below, you know, because we love when the audience interacts, and hopefully they do hit the like button and make some comments, because, you know, what's weird is when you because I try to always hit the like, but you'll see a video with 5,000 views and then, like, you know, 18 likes, and you're like, well, wait a second, are people really watching this? So anyway,
I commented on one of your videos.
I know you have, and thank you for that. That's how we ended up in this conversation.
Yeah, but I kind of got pulled, and I was wondering if maybe you guys did, or if Rumble did, honestly.
Huh.
Wait, what?
It was with a Palestinian woman and the Jewish woman that you just recently put out. I listened to that at work this morning, and I commented on it, and my comment wasn't there. There was like 4 hearts and all that. I'm just throwing it out there, letting you know, as a viewer.
I'll take a look, because I remember seeing your comment, so because I know what to look for with you now. So very weird. I'll take a look at that. So is there anything you want to say to the audience in closing for part one?
Believe in yourselves. Don't be fearful. You know, this is we got to do this. Failure is not an option. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And if there are, you know, like Carrie Cassidy said, there's like 39 different races walking on the planet. They're just one of them. They may have been involved in things that we don't like. But I don't know. It's real. It's time to move forward, or I guess, or we're gonna kill each other. I don't know. You know, I don't want it to end like that. Right. Just keep an open mind. Look around you. Just hope, you know, cooler heads prevail in life, you know, now that we're going through this and that kind of stuff. And I just thank you for an opportunity to, you know, get this off my chest. You know, I think I'm probably going to have a little shakedown when this is all over with. But I'm relying on this audience to help heal me too, as I help heal them, because I've stepped into this eternity with you guys, you know. We have to do it, you know.
Well, thank you
for
your
y'all.
Courage. Yeah, your courage to come forward with this stuff. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And we certainly appreciate it. So
We do, and I do want to let you and the viewers know that, you know, we have some amazing interviews coming up, and one's with Lois Herman, and she's someone that possibly could talk to you about what you've went through, and we are going to be interviewing Carrie Cassidy as well. And so thank you for reaching out to us. I mean, because if by putting a comment, you know, you're here having this conversation, and we really appreciate you being vulnerable and taking this first step, because, you know, you never know the ripple effect that your conversation could have. So anyway, stick around. I'm going to hit the pause button and we'll chat. And thanks for everybody for watching. Appreciate you. Take care.
Hey, audience. Joe and I have a confession to make.
That's true.
Something that we haven't talked to you about, and we feel kind of bad. It's time to let you know. And we should have done it earlier. We have a Patreon account. So if you like what we do, and you want to let us know, please visit our Patreon account. It'll be in the link below. And what we're hoping to do for our Patreons, $10 and up, because, you know, we're money grubbing, you know, truthers. You know, we'd love to get together and have a chat, a Zoom meeting with you personally, at least twice a month. We'll see how it goes. Such a good time. We know we have one of the best audiences out there, and we'd rather talk to you than just about anyone. So let's do this. Right, Joe?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do our first one in April, and we're looking forward to it. We're inspired by the great people in Michael Della Rocca's Patreon chat as well. So
yeah, we went over there. We had a great time. So
we thought we'd do the same. So, you know,
we're gonna have a better time.
Yeah.
But it's you guys. It's you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least as good of a time.
Which is probably also those guys, maybe in some cases.
Hopefully.
We hope so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just want to let you know, and thank you so much for watching and enjoying the journey with us. And we're excited about it. So I think that's all we have for now, right?
I think that's it. Also comment.
Yeah.
We'd love to read your comments. And thank you so much for all the positive comments. They're phenomenal. They really keep us going.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.